It's 3 in the morning. You're staring at the ceiling, just wide awake. Your heart's pounding, sheets are soaked, and your mind is just, it's racing through 100 different ways everything you've built could just crash and burn. 1 minute you feel like, okay, I might actually pull this off, just pure euphoria. And then, I don't know, 10 minutes later, you're paralyzed by absolute terror.
That oscillation, it's brutal.
It is. And if you're listening to this and nodding your head, if you felt that exact kind of whiplash, then today's deep dive is for you. We are unpacking a guide that is, I think, one of those honest things I've ever read about business.
The hard thing about hard things?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, this stuff, it just feels different. Most business advice is so sunny.
Right. It's always how to win friends or strategic planning for success.
Right.
It assumes the wind is at your back. It assumes the machine is already working.
Yeah.
But this is a survival guide for when the engine is on fire.
That's the perfect way to put it. We aren't talking about optimizing a functional company. We're talking about what happens when there are no easy answers. And it starts with this incredible visualization of a CEO's emotional state they call the struggle.
And if you look at this chart, it is definitely not that smooth up and to the right curve everyone loves.
Yeah.
It looks more like a seismograph during an earthquake. It's just jagged, violent even.
You got euphoria at the very, very top and terror way down at the bottom. And the line just slams back and forth between them. But what really got me are the labels in the valleys. You see self-doubt, you see pain.
And cold sweat, that's a literal physical reaction. I think people forget that leadership, it's physical. It really takes a toll on your body.
But here's where I want to, push on this a bit. The chart, it shows a cycle. It goes promise, then failure, then the struggle, then breakthrough. Is the implication here that you have to fail to succeed? That feels a little fatalistic.
Well, I don't think it's fatalism so much as it's reality. The model here suggests the struggle isn't a symptom that you're doing a bad job.
Right.
That's where most leaders get tripped up. They feel that cold sweat and they think, I'm failing. If I were a better CEO, I'd be sleeping right now.
Steve Jobs probably didn't sweat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is, totally untrue. The core insight here is that the struggle is a prerequisite. The text says it explicitly. The struggle is where greatness comes from. You literally can't get to the breakthrough without navigating that failure first.
Okay, so if that's true, if everyone is terrified and sweating through their sheets, why does my social media feed look so happy? Everyone else looks like they're crushing it.
Well, that brings us to the next idea, the positivity delusion.
Which is shown here with a huge iceberg.
Right. Above the water, you've got what the world sees, the sunny demeanor and optimism, the smiling headshot, that we're killing it posts.
The press release.
All of that. But below the water,
It's a disaster zone. Massive problems, loss of trust, fatal issues. But why do leaders do this? Is it just ego? Are they just trying to look cool for everyone?
I don't think it's just ego. I think it's fair. There's a hard truth in here. Nobody takes bad news harder than the leader. I mean, it's their ship. If it sinks, it's on them. So the temptation is to protect everyone, keep smiling until you can fix it.
But the guide argues that's the exact wrong move.
It's fatal. If you keep the problems underwater, you just crash into the iceberg eventually. The advice here is really counterintuitive. You have to build a culture where bad news travels fast.
You need to know the engine's on fire immediately.
Right, not when the smoke reaches the cockpit.
There's a quote in here that's, well, it's pretty graphic. If you're going to eat shit, don't nibble.
It's disgusting, but it's memorable, isn't it?
So what does that actually mean in practice?
It means if you have a huge problem, don't try to solve it in little, tiny, palatable pieces. Don't delay the pain. If you have to lose a major client or shut down a product line, just do it. Consume the disaster, deal with the fallout, and move on. Nibbling just prolongs the misery.
That aggression, that willingness to just get into the mess,
Yeah.
that really sets the stage for the next concept. This is probably the most famous part of this whole philosophy.
Yeah.
The difference between a peacetime CEO and a wartime CEO.
And this is where a lot of standard management advice just kind of falls apart. We tend to judge all leaders by the same standard, but the context changes absolutely everything.
So define peacetime for us first.
Okay, so think of the peacetime CEO as a compass. The company's growing, the market is expanding. Their job is to set a direction and get broad buy-in. They want creativity. They want people to experiment.
So in peacetime, if an employee deviates from the process to try something new, that's a good thing.
It's celebrated. Oh, you found a new way to do X. That's great innovation. Deviation creates discovery.
But then the market crashes.
Right.
Or a competitor launches a product that makes yours obsolete.
Or you just run out of cash.
Right.
Now you're in war. And a peacetime CEO in a war will get everyone killed.
Because the goal shifts entirely.
The goal shifts from expansion to just survival. The wartime CEO isn't a compass, they're a target crosshair.
It sounds intense.
It has to be. In wartime, you don't have the luxury of broad-based buy-in. You've got one bullet. You have to hit the target. And the mindset shifts to, strict adherence to the mission.
There's a line here describing the wartime CEO.
Yeah.
They care about a speck of dust if it interferes with the prime directive. Now, playing devil's advocate for a second, doesn't that just sound like micromanagement? Isn't that just an excuse to be a toxic boss?
In peacetime, absolutely. If you're screaming about a speck of dust when sales are up 20%, you're just a jerk. But in wartime, that speck of dust might be the thing that jams the gun that saves the whole company.
So context is the only thing that separates a tyrant from a savior.
Precisely. And the reality check for startups is that you are almost always in war. Most of these business books, they're written for peacetime companies, the big established players. But if you act like a peacetime CEO when you're fighting for your life, you die.
So let's say you're in war. You're stressed. You're looking for a way out. And this is where this silver bullet idea kicks in.
We all do this. We look for the one big thing that's going to fix everything. If we just acquire this competitor, or if we could just get a write-up in a major newspaper.
The guide has a visual of a silver bullet with a big red X over it.
Because they don't exist. Or at least betting on them is suicide. Instead, it points to a pile of lead bullets.
Lead bullets. Heavy. Ugly.
Unglamorous. And the list is painfully simple. 1, build a better product. 2, engineer your way out. And 3, do the hard work.
Do the hard work. I mean, nobody wants to hear that. We all want the cheat code.
There is no cheat code. There's no escape hatch. You have to go through the front door. Marketing spin will not save a broken product. A PR blitz isn't going to fix bad code. You just have to grind.
Okay, so part of doing that hard work is having the right team. And this brings us to a hiring philosophy that I think is really controversial. The guide contrasts the mistake with the goal.
And this is about hiring executives specifically.
Right. So the mistake is shown as a bowl of smooth, perfect eggs. These are the candidates who are competent, well-rounded, and have no weaknesses. But hang on, why is that a mistake? If I'm hiring a VP of sales, don't I want someone who's good at everything? Good with people, good with numbers, strategy?
In peacetime? Maybe. But in war, lack of weakness is a trap, because people who are just fine at everything, they're usually not world-class at the one thing you desperately need right now.
Okay, so then the goal is a jagged rock.
It's sharp, uneven, it has flaws, but it has a superpower. It has the strength you need nowadays.
So for example, if I need to close deals immediately just to survive.
And then you hire the person who is a lethal closer, even if they're terrible at organization and bad at paperwork. You hire for that spike of genius, not the absence of flaws. You can manage the flaws. You can't just manufacture the genius.
That's a risky game, though.
Everything in wartime is a risky game.
True, but sometimes even with the right hires, things go south, and you have to do the hardest thing of all, layoffs.
This is maybe the most visceral part of the struggle. And the guide is so specific here. People won't remember every day they worked for you, but they will remember the day you laid them off forever.
That puts a massive weight on that moment.
It should.
So let's walk through the 4 steps. Step 1, get your head right.
This is all mental. If you go into a layoff feeling sorry for yourself or just drowning in guilt, you'll hesitate. You have to focus on the future of the company. You're cutting off a limb to save the body.
Step 2, don't delay.
This is huge. I've seen this go wrong so many times. A leader decides to do a layoff, but waits a week to get prepared.
And then the rumors start.
Leaks are poison. If people hear through the grapevine that heads are rolling, the culture just rots instantly. Once the decision is made, you have to execute immediately.
Step 3, be clear.
This one is about dignity. Don't frame a layoff as some kind of performance cleanup. Don't say, well, we're letting go of the bottom 10%.
Because that makes it sound like it's their fault.
Exactly. If you're doing a mass layoff, the company failed. The leadership missed its goals. You have to own that. We failed to hit our numbers, so we have to let you go. It's honest.
And step 4, the golden rule.
Managers must lay off their own people.
No outsourcing. No sending in the HR rep to do the dirty work.
Never. You cannot send in an HR rep who the employee barely knows to end their livelihood. You look them in the eye when you hired them. You have to look them in the eye when you let them go. It's about respect.
That is heavy. But let's pivot to something that often gets confused with being nice to employees. Culture. There's a section here with a big X over perks. Dogs in the office, yoga classes, free food.
I love this distinction. We have totally conflated culture with amenities.
And if yoga isn't culture, what is?
The definition here is just brilliant. Culture is programming the company to make decisions when you aren't there.
When you aren't there, unpack that for me.
Okay, so imagine a customer service rep gets a complaint at 5:05 p.m. on a Friday. You, the CEO, are not in the room. Does that rep stay late to fix it? Or do they say, call back Monday?
And that decision isn't based on whether there's a ping pong table in the break room.
Right. It's based on the programming, on what behavior has been rewarded and what's been punished. That's culture. It's the code that runs the organization's behavior.
And a huge part of that code is how the company deals with internal friction. Which brings us to minimizing politics.
Politics can destroy a company faster than any competitor. It's like a cancer.
The guide suggests a rigorous structure to stop it. Written performance definitions, structured reviews. It sounds kind of bureaucratic.
It does, doesn't it? Startups usually hate structure. But the insight here is that politics thrives in ambiguity.
How so?
Well, if there's no clear definition of how to get a promotion, then the way you get a promotion is by sucking up to the boss. That's politics. If compensation's all secret, people lobby for raises. If you have strict, transparent structure, you just remove the incentive to play the game.
That makes sense. Structure kills subjectivity. Now, there's a law mentioned here that it made me laugh, but it's also terrifying. The law of crappy people.
It's a harsh name, but the concept is solid. Talent eventually converges to the crappiest person with the title.
Why does that happen? Why does it converge downward?
Just think about it. If you have a vice president who is mediocre, just, crappy, but you let them keep that title, what signal does that send to your high performer?
It tells them the bar is low.
Right. Your A players look at that C player VP and they say, well, if that's the standard, why am I killing myself? They either leave or they stop trying. The standard of the team just drops to the lowest common denominator that you tolerate.
So tolerating mediocrity basically creates more mediocrity. Speaking of people who damage culture, let's talk about the smart people, bad employees, the archetypes.
The rogues gallery.
First up, the heretic.
This is the person who's smart, they're engaged, but they're constantly undermining the mission. They're in the boat rowing, but they're also drilling holes in the hull and telling everyone the captain's an idiot.
And you have the flake.
The unreliable genius. They produce brilliant work, but they miss the deadline every single time. You never know if they're actually going to show up.
And finally, the jerk. Now, this is what I want to push on. This is the high performer who gets results but destroys the team. If they're bringing in millions in revenue, don't you just put up with it?
That is the temptation, right? He's a jerk, but he's our best salesman. But the guide says absolutely not. The cost is too high. They leave a trail of dead bodies. They burn out your other staff. You can't let smart or productive hold the culture hostage. They have to go.
Okay, so you fire the jerk. How do you get the employees you do want? The answer here is surprisingly boring. Training.
It's not sexy at all, but it is the single highest leverage activity a manager can do.
There's a leverage equation here. It shows 12 hours of manager prep going in and 2,000 hours of productivity coming out. Is that math actually real?
It's totally solid. Think about it. If you have 10 employees and you spend, say, 12 hours creating a training course that improves their efficiency by just 1%.
1% doesn't sound like a lot.
But that's 1% for 10 people, compounding over every single hour they work for the next year. It equals thousands of hours of productivity gain.
So you're saying managers who say they don't have time to train are actually wasting time.
Exactly. They're busy fixing mistakes that shouldn't happen in the first place. Training is how you scale yourself. And the key is, managers must do it themselves. You can't outsource the teaching of your way of doing business.
We've covered a lot of heavy lifting, hiring, firing, training, war. It all requires a certain level of, guts.
Yeah.
Which brings us to fear versus courage.
This is my favorite visual in the whole guide. A tightrope walker crossing a chasm.
And it says, the hero and the coward feel the exact same fear.
Psst, stop and think about that. We assume heroes are fearless. We assume the great CEOs don't wake up terrified.
But they do.
They feel the exact same physiological terror, the sweating, the racing heart, all of it. The difference isn't the fear. The difference is that the coward freezes and the hero acts.
But the hero acts.
Courage isn't some personality trait you're born with. It's a habit. It's learned by doing. You make a hard decision, you survive, and you realize, okay, I can do that. Every hard decision is a lonely decision.
And as you're crossing that tightrope, looking for some sympathy, the guy just hits you with a splash of cold water. A bright orange screen that just says, nobody cares.
It is brutal.
Investors don't care. The press doesn't care. The market doesn't care. That feels so cold. Does it really have to be that hard?
It's not about being mean. It's about being clear. You can have the best excuse in the world. The economy crashed. My co-founder quit. The dog ate my business plan. The market does not care. If you run out of money, you die.
So excuses are useless currency.
Zero value. So the pivot is spend zero time on what you could have done or what happened to you. Spend all your time on what you might do. Forward momentum is the only thing that matters.
All right, let's boil all this down. The guide ends with a CEO's checklist, sort of a cheat sheet for the wartime leader.
Item 1, people, products, profits.
Strictly in that order.
Strictly. If you focus on profits first, you cut costs, you hurt the people, the product suffers, and then the profits vanish anyway. You take care of the people, they build a great product, the product generates the profit.
Item 2, tell it like it is.
Trust equals truth. No sugarcoating.
Item 3, hire for strength.
Remember that jagged rock? Don't hire for lack of weakness.
4, train your team.
It's your job, the most important job.
And finally, item 5, decide.
Embrace the loneliness. Just make the call.
We're at the end. The final image is this sort of wireframe landscape, mountains and valleys, and a thought on embracing the struggle.
Hard things are hard because there aren't recipes. If there were a recipe, it wouldn't be hard and everyone would do it.
It says, peace comes from accepting the challenge.
And that's the Zen moment, right? If you fight the fact that it's hard, if you're always screaming, why is this so difficult? You'll just burn out. But if you can accept, okay, this is the job, the struggle is the job, you can find this strange kind of peace, even in the middle of the storm.
So to everyone listening who is in the middle of that storm right now, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., you're not doing it wrong. It's just hard.
And the struggle is where greatness comes from.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Now go do the hard work.